Hey everyone, it's Schmuckles. Today we're going to be talking about 2 reasons why the Dead by Daylight player count is dropping. For those of you that don't know, the Dead by Daylight player base has been dropping dramatically since October 2021. We've dropped about 20,000 average players. The player count has dropped from 51,000 to 34,000. The first and most obvious reason is because of MMR, skill-based matchmaking. Both killers and survivors really didn't like the implementation of this. It kind of just led to more sweaty games in general, and the way it's calculated for both sides kind of makes no sense. I'm sure you've already watched a lot of videos on this, so I'm actually not going to talk about it too much. The second reason is because of the perk Circle of Healing. This was implemented with Michaela Reed in the Survivor paragraph in October 2021. The Michaela Reed PTB was announced on September 28th, and we started seeing the drop in the player count in October 2021. Circle of Healing is currently the most broken perk in Dead by Daylight. I wanted to talk about a couple reasons why that is and some possible reworks that could really help fix this perk. Circle of Healing is better than Botany Knowledge, Self-Care, and Will Make It put together for the price of 1 out of 16 of the Survivor perks. Every time a killer interacts with a survivor, they need to get some value from the interaction because there's other survivors working on gens. They need to be doing something that's going to be getting survivors off of generators with every interaction in the game. Whether it's getting pallets off of the map or it's getting survivors injured, so they need teammates to come heal them. Circle of Healing only takes a little bit longer than a brown medkit to do, and you can do it an infinite number of times. Against really good survivors, you can't really chase survivors for more than 15 seconds without getting a hit or a pallet. Otherwise, you're going to lose the game because you have other people on generators. Say you face a team of 4 really good survivors. It doesn't even have to be a Swift. It can just be a team of solo teammates that are really good at looping. You could have multiple survivor targets injured and they can reset all of that pressure in literally 20 seconds. There's also really insane spots that they can have the Circle of Healing boon totem where you literally have to waste so much time just to go up there and snuff it out every time. It honestly kind of makes killer unplayable when they have, like, for example, in this game that I'm showing right now, the boon totem is on the 2nd story of Thompson House. Totems were designed to be a killer hex perk and optional for survivors to do. Say you have a really essential totem for survivors to get down. For example, Devour Hope, which is totally a luck perk that doesn't necessarily happen every game. You have up to 4 people looking for that totem in a 3rd person perspective. If you're gonna all of a sudden make one side absolutely have to go find a totem, you should at the very least change the spawns of the totems or the mechanics of how they work. Totems were not designed to be essential for killers to go and find, so why are we all of a sudden changing that? It's randomly changing the original design and intention of totems. Say Dead by Daylight never introduced hex totems for killers, but they introduced survivor boon totems. The spawns would not look the same. They would be designed and balanced very differently than what it is right now. In general, whenever survivor brings in Circle of Healing, my kill percentage goes down significantly each game. Killers that rely on split pressure and snowball potential are completely countered by this perk. You can literally have all 4 survivors injured and then you chase one of those injured survivors and the other 3 survivors will heal themselves in that time. I've heard of a couple changes that people have kind of requested for Circle of Healing, none of which I really liked, if I'm being honest. I've heard people say you should only be able to boon a totem a maximum of 1 time a game, and I don't really think that's addressing the core of the problem with Circle of Healing. I think you can keep everything the same, except for the only person who can self-care themselves is the person who did the boon totem. That is still pretty much a medkit with infinite charges if the killer doesn't snuff out that boon totem. Survivors can still heal themselves and increase speeds, but you're going to need 2 survivors to commit to that in order to get that value. You should not be able to have the whole team be able to self-care themselves in what is equivalent pretty much of a brown medkit. I think that boon totem should be a decision for a killer to snuff out or not. It should not be essential for them to snuff out the boon in order to win the game. And if you nerf it in this way, it's going to be more of a decision from a killer than a necessary objective. Dead by Daylight needs to add more survivor objectives before the killer gets any more work that they need to do. This Coldwind Farm Demogorgon game that I faced this really good group of survivors, I was not able to down anyone because there were too many safe pallets, and then as soon as I commit to another survivor, everyone full heals. I mean, right now, Dead by Daylight feels like I'm being put into a random simulator and I'm not even in control of the outcome of the game. I don't think there's any possible way I could have split pressure on the targets in order to actually be able to get some snowball potential from Demogorgon. Demogorgon, like a lot of other killers, does not have a one-hit ability, so it's really hard to down good survivors that are in really strong pallet loops. So pretty much what was happening this game is I was getting pallets off the map, but not fast enough. And every time I committed to a survivor, everybody was able to reset and be full health. The number of times that I'm chasing an injured target and everyone goes from injured to full health is crazy. The rework I'm proposing to Circle of Healing still makes it better than Self-Care, Botany Knowledge, and Will Make It all put together. Honestly, the fact that my reworked version of Circle of Healing is more comparable to these perks makes it more balanced. There's no way anyone's gonna run Self-Care over Circle of Healing anymore. There's actually more of a decision to make if you want to run Self-Care or Circle of Healing because it still only applies to 1 survivor. Circle of Healing is faster but within a certain radius. Self-Care you can do in 32 seconds but anywhere on the map. We've actually made a situation where these 2 perks are more comparable. Would a change like this knock Circle of Healing out of the meta? Yes. Is it good for the game health? Absolutely. I really feel that Circle of Healing is a big problem in Dead by Daylight that's responsible for the declining player base as well as the survivor queue times. People just aren't enjoying killer as much anymore, and having a perk that's only 1 out of 16 of the survivor slots with this much value is really hurting the game health. We just saw a licensed chapter come into Dead by Daylight and the player base is still decreasing. Licensed chapters in general usually bring the player base up, but people just aren't enjoying Killer as much anymore. That actually scares me that the Sadaka Rising chapter didn't see an increase in the player base. What are we gonna do when we bring in every possible big license we can into DBD? Where does behavior go from there if people aren't enjoying playing Killer? In general, Dead by Daylight's not really balanced for the highest level of the game, but that's honestly another video. That's it for this one. Goodbye.